DGH, Pallavi ji, the senior management of the system, in the ministry, in the public and private sector, oil companies, and all the other distinguished invitees who are present here today. I'm extremely happy to be present with you today, and I'm not saying that by way of a comment which most invitees would offer on an occasion like this. I'm happy because there are a number of altering, ground-changing, I would even say changes which have very far-reaching implications, which we are celebrating today. The contract signing ceremony for OALP bid round 9, the special DSF bid round 2024, the launch of DSF 4 and special CBM bid round 2025, that's on record, it's been expected. But we are also celebrating today the formal coming into effect of the new legislation. It has finally, we started in December 2024. It cleared the Rajya Sabha in December 2024, and then Parliament was adjourned. It cleared the Rajya Sabha, then it required to go back, Lok Sabha, then it had to go back to Rajya Sabha for a change of date, and it's received presidential assent. But what is important, not that it is only coming into effect today, what is more important, we are circulating draft rules which have been put in the public domain, which we invite all stakeholders in the energy ecosystem to comment on. The draft legislation itself was the outcome of a long process. I think we should have done it much earlier, but without wishing to score political points, the 10 years between 2006 and 16, we missed a decade of opportunity. We moved from production sharing to revenue sharing agreements in 2016. We opened up 1 million square kilometers of our sedimentary basin. And some of the statistics I have here are very interesting. Out of the new bids awarded, apparently 38% were in OLP round 9 were in that 1 million square kilometers opened up. And I'm told that when we go into OALP 10, the bulk of it will be from there. But there are other things that we have to take note of. If we talk about India's untapped energy potential, the figure that is given to me is 42 billion tons of oil and oil equivalent of gas. And yet we are a country which has over an 80%, even over 85% of import dependence on crude oil. And I would say about 50% of import dependence on natural gas. The figures we are looking at, the desire to move from 6 to 15% of natural gas in our overall energy mix looks a very ambitious target. And I'm, frankly, even with all the investments which are taking place, I would say we have begun to move, but there's so much scope that we can go further. But I think that is where all the other things which are developments which have been highlighted by Pankaj ji, by DGH, and which are I'm sure I haven't seen the recommendations of the joint working group. I'm sure they're touched on by them. I think we are frankly on the journey. Before we commenced this evening's proceedings, I asked the secretary, I said, how are we doing? And he said, can I quote you? He said, we are on a roll. And I actually subscribe to that. Because what does it feel to be on a roll? Let me tell you very frankly. I think the government is bending over backwards, if I may use the expression, thanks to the very bold policies of the Honorable Prime Minister. We stand ready to tweak what is doable by us. And I think the new legislation which has come into effect today is concrete proof of the fact that the government has moved a long way in accommodating the industry's concern. But I'm not stopping here. I think my message all along has been, and I say this not only to our private sector, our OMCs, I say it to the global majors whenever they come to see me. Some of them are represented here. I see my friend Mr. Dubey. When the BP board was here, when the chairman was here, all the other companies, I say the same thing. Please let us know what more needs to be done. Because today our mindset is focused in terms of getting results and getting results within fixed time frames. Which means we have to change the old habit of setting timelines and not complying, not being serious enough. And I think you will find both in terms of the government's approach, and I think that's percolating down to the companies, that people are beginning to realize that we are serious about this. If somebody wants to bid and then not act on it, I'm afraid we'll have no option but to, see how we can take remedial measures. Because you cannot just allow old things to, and this, I'm not focusing on any one company or one sector. It's the overall change in attitude, I think, that is very clear. We are promoting scientific, data-driven exploration with a 7,500 crore investment in new seismic data, including the EEZ, stratigraphic wells, and aerial surveys. Look, I am painfully aware of the fact, even as part of my previous career, that you can't ask someone to come and invest in your country, in your large offshore potential, by barely appealing to their good sense. You have to make it worth their while. And since digging offshore wells is not an inexpensive exercise, my friends here tell me that sometimes it costs about $100 million to dig one well, and you have to dig 20 before you strike gold on the 21st. So we changed our attitude. We said, come and provide technical assistance, and we will compensate you for your technical services. You don't necessarily need to become a partner in the long journey towards the end. Yes, if we strike gold or if we strike oil or gas, you will, since you provided the technical assistance, you are compensated, we'll give you a first right of refusal, if I can use that term. But otherwise, there are others. And that changed approach is actually working. I find a company in Brazil, Petrobras, is collaborating with my friend Ranjit Rath in seismic surveys in the Andaman Seas. I think BP is in agreement with ONGC already in one area, Western Offshore, in others, and I see most of that happening. Why am I sounding optimistic to the point of enthusiastic? I'm always optimistic, even though I'm a cynic. Because I think that it takes two to tango. The industry has to step in, show seriousness of resolve. I don't mean just domestic industry. I mean industry on a global canvas. And I see that happening. We have had the good fortune of receiving the less than half a dozen global majors here. All of them, we've dealt with them. We've hosted them at the highest level, not only in the ministry, but the Honorable Prime Minister has been generous with his time. We've asked them. They are not only partnering, but I think partnering with enthusiasm. And on the government side, we have done whatever it takes, including through legislative change. What difference will it make? I have said this any number of times. When you have far-sighted, progressive legislation, you remove the uncertainty and you remove any doubts. For instance, I was asked, will you again impose a particular kind of tax? I said, now with the passage of this legislation, not us, but any future government will also not be able to do it, because it is proscribed or prohibited right from the start. But, as I said, this is only, I'm giving you this is only the beginning of the process. As we succeed, and look, I'm very confident about succeeding for the simple reason that if there is energy at the bottom of the Andaman Sea, And as I learned from experience, it can't be confined to one area. It's traveling. So it's only a matter of time before we hit a Guyana in the Andaman Sea. I mean, I'm using an expression. There's no geographical intent here, but what I'm saying, a big discovery. And I'm sure that my friends in the global big entities, if they are deciding to use India for the future, that itself is determined by a large number of considerations. One, a growing market. Growing domestic market with 6.5% of rates of growth. The energy consumption today here is 3 times the global average. Many people predict, the IEA, that out of the energy increase in demand in the next 2 decades, 25% will come from India. But more than that, there's technology, there are startups. Many of these companies are putting their GCCs here. And when I look at the figures, they're becoming global centers for sourcing technology, skilled manpower, etc. How much of this will translate into providing backup support for the global efforts of those companies? How much of it will serve our own E&P needs? And look, the fact is that the E&P sector is not umbilically removed from our downstream. If people come and make investments, they also have access to that growing economy and the downstream potential also. So all in all, I'm extremely optimistic. I want to compliment DGH for organizing this. I would like to tell you that 76% of the total area under exploration today has started only after 2014. So before anybody gets impatient, why is it taking time? The name of the game in this exercise is, it's a slow-moving but solidly moving area. If you may take decisions today, you invest, the gestation might be large, but you will see the result in 3 to 5 years. And you'll see the result in a major way. I sometimes get very excited when my friends in the press, many of them are here, when they start finding oil even before the oil companies have declared find. But that is the nature of the game. I'd also like to say that if you look at the totality of how situation is in the world, it's not just E&P. India is also a fascinating story because what is happening in terms of the energy transition. The biofuel story is very well known. We had a 1.4% blending in 2014. We completed our 20% blending 6 years in advance, I think, last month, Pankaj, if I'm not mistaken. And today I read in one of the pink papers that government has decided to increase the biofuels blending to 30%. So I woke up, tried to call the secretary. I said, which one of you has announced this 30%? But then I realized that somebody had said, ki, "Arey bhai, consultation to ho hi rahi hai. We have to move from 20%. So some smart aleck has said, 20 ka 30 kar do. No, I don't know who it is. I would say that, yes, that is broadly the area that we go for more. But we still have a little bit of homework to do. But I'd rather be grappling with a situation where the enthusiasm is setting the benchmark rather than, अरे कुछ नहीं हो रहा, ये नहीं हो रहा, ये बहुत कुछ हो रहा है, आगे आने वाले समय और भी होगा. Our CBM resources are estimated at 2,600 billion cubic meters, BCM. At present, we have 15 CBM blocks active, 8 blocks of earlier bid rounds, and 4 blocks of SBM 2021, and 3 blocks of 2022. Now, going forward, I'm very happy that we are launching special CBM 2025 to unblock opportunities in unconventional hydrocarbon resources to the tune of 34 BCM through 3 blocks, 2 in West Bengal and 1 in Gujarat, further doing this. I'm also very happy that the somewhat uneven cooperation or progress that comes from some state governments that's beginning to move. I think petrol mining licenses have started being forthcoming. A little bit of pushing and, if I may say, naming and shaming from our side. I don't know whether that expression will go down, but that's what the name of the game is in overall terms. I would just conclude by saying that the overall exploration and production sector holds investment potential of over 100 billion US dollars by 2030. And when you talk about investment potential, the good thing to note is when we start having events like this and when the results of those successive bidding rounds come into the public domain and large economic entities begin to focus on the potential, that's also when those who provide the funding, etc. And nobody wants to put in money unless, there are assurances. Do you have a supportive government environment? Are regulatory provisions in place? Do you have safeguards on other areas of concern? And today I can say with great confidence, I was having a meeting with an American team from one of the leading universities, and the feedback I get from everywhere is that there is a lot of positive, encouraging attention which the Indian energy sector is receiving. And for that, I want to thank all of you, and I hope we can take this forward in the 10th round and other successive rounds. And thank you very much again for making the time. God bless all of you, and thank you very much.